Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Commerce of Care podcast. We're your hosts, Anthony and Sanjana, and we're both students at Duke University passionate about making lasting change in health. This podcast is your go to space to explore all the ways that you can impact healthcare beyond just wearing a white coat. Whether you're pursuing medicine, policy, business, or your own unique path, you belong here. So sit back and relax and let us show you the diverse perspectives shaping health today.
Today, we have the lovely co-founders of Duke Business Behind Health, Ella Etchandy and Gabby Perry. They're going to talk with us a bit more about DBBH's mission and how this podcast plays an important role in it.
But before we get into that, let's start with some introductions. Ella Etchandy is a rising junior at Duke University studying biomedical engineering with a certificate in innovation and entrepreneurship. Ella is passionate about the intersection of healthcare, business, and innovation, particularly driven by the challenge of making healthcare more personalized, accessible, and future-facing. As a BME Design Fellow, she has the opportunity to build medical devices, and she recently worked at Merck as a quality engineer immersed in the pharmaceutical industry. Ella is eager to continue growing business behind health at Duke, empowering students to shape the future of healthcare.
And Gabrielle Perry is a rising senior at Duke University in the Program 2 major, where she studies how markets, policy, and community infrastructure shape how people live and thrive in different parts of the world. A proud daughter of Jamaican immigrants and a New York City native, Gabrielle is passionate about using a business as a vehicle to reimagine what is possible and realize it at scale. At Duke, she co-founded Business Behind Health, where she currently serves as president, and the Duke Business of Fashion Summit, which has since evolved into the Duke Business of Retail Society. Both organizations reflect her commitment to exposing students to new opportunities and, more importantly, to the ways industries create value and shape the world around us. Ella and Gabby, do you want to say a couple things about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for those introductions. You mostly covered most of the intros about me, but I'm just very excited that we're able to start this podcast and really grow DBBH from what it was last year. I think we'll get into this a little bit more, but Gabby and I really walked in with an idea, and if it wasn't for our team and you guys, Sanjana and Anthony, as our founding members, we really wouldn't have been able to do anything that we accomplished. And I think I can speak for Gabby and I when I say we're just so excited to be able to expand it.
Do either of you want to tell us a little bit more about DBBH and what it means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can take a jump at that first, Ella, if you don't mind. But we sort of pitch ourselves as Duke's first student-led initiative, really redefining what it means to make an impact in what we deem the health economy. And we're very intentional about using the word health economy as opposed to healthcare because we're all about showing students that they have options. We started it because we saw a gap. So many conversations about healthcare at Duke revolve simply around medicine, maybe policy if you're lucky, or maybe you're a biomedical engineer because you recognized at a young age you were great at STEM and you thought, okay, I really don't want to go to med school for that long, so let me work at biopharma. And what we've realized, again, is that there's so much that's going on beyond that, and the term health economy really encapsulates that for us. We really wanted students to know that they have options and also, more importantly, to feel safe in expressing that. I think it's somewhat unrealistic to expect students at such a young age to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And so many pre-med students in particular feel so guilty about making a decision that does not feel right for them. And we want to create a space to say that it's okay if you don't know, but it's okay to know sort of the impact that you want to make. DBBH is rooted in this understanding that you can't change the game if you don't know the rules that you're playing with. And so what we do is we bring together students from all different disciplines to explore that space, whether it's pharmaceuticals like Ella did this summer, biotech. I just did a FinTech AI internship, which may seem like it doesn't have implications in health, but it absolutely does, where data centers are located, impacts water supply, etc. And off this sort of mini tangent, it's a platform to show students that you don't have to be pre-med to meaningfully shape health outcomes. So we absolutely are a pre-med safe club. It's just having that understanding that it's okay, again, to be different, but ultimately that there's really just room for every kind of thinker in this conversation.
Yeah. I think just to harp on one of your points about it being a little bit unrealistic coming into school, I thought I was going to be pre-med. I, looked at all the pre-med clubs, and kind of the first thing you see in the pre-med club is, okay, this is your next 4-year trajectory. This is what you have to do to apply for the MCAT. And it's like, wait, I'm still trying to figure out if I even want to be pre-med. But when you jump into those clubs like head first like that, it's really easy to just get stuck. And then it makes it so much harder when you decide, I actually don't want to do this. So I think a big thing and why DBBH is so meaningful for me and all of our exec members is like, this is something we wish we would have had our freshman year starting with. And the fact that we get to build it with that in mind, like being students right now, which is why it's so important, it's a student led initiative, is just something I'm really grateful for that we have the opportunity to do.
I totally agree. I feel like this club has been so impactful in just the year that we've had, and a lot of that is in huge part to both of you. And so, since you two are the best president duo we could have asked for, we wanted to hear a little bit more about your love story and how you were inspired to start this club.
Thank you, Sanjana. That's so kind. So I can speak on this a bit. Gabby and I, as I think was mentioned in our intros, are both pursuing the INE, so Innovation and Entrepreneurship Certificate. And through that, we did a program last summer, so summer 25, or no, summer 24. And we did this program called Duke in Silicon Valley, and it's through the Innovation Entrepreneurship Program. In Duke in Silicon Valley, it was really us exploring how to build and sustain a successful enterprise and just living in the tech hub of the world. And through this, Gabby and I were really able to meet and just discuss about, we obviously have this inherent passion in healthcare. So for us, a lot of our discussions were, oh my gosh, this new healthcare startup, this new founder, this new innovation. And we just really love discussing that with each other. Also, something Gabby and I found were like, we were the two most like curious, like always raising our hands. Like, I think everyone in our cohort was annoyed with us because it would always be like Gabby and Ella had the questions. Like, if no one else is going to ask questions, like Gabby and Ella. But Gabby basically pitched to me her idea, I think like halfway through the summer. She was like, Ella, I have this idea. Like, I want to do a summit. I want people to just learn about healthcare in a holistic way, like how Gabby explained about the economy. And I was like, I'm down. Like, I don't know how this looks logistically, but like, I think we can figure it out because we're both so passionate about it. And one thing that really sold me was as a BME student and Gabby being in program too, we would have never met if it weren't for INE. And it was so clear that we had so much inherent interest, like combining, and we just had so much in common. So the fact that we are literally at the like global mecca of healthcare at Duke, and yet two people with such similar interests would never meet because their majors are so different. To me, I was like, that is a very distinguishable problem. And also along with the other problem that, you know, you come in pre-med, you don't know if that's something you want to do. So with those two in mind, Gabby and I went and we were like, okay, do we think other people have this problem? So that's when we started out, we put out surveys across all of campus and we were like, fill out this form, fill out this form. It was kind of like a long form. And we had almost 100 students fill out this form saying, yes, we have this problem too. And so, thank you, Anthony.
Anthony,
And
that's how we found him.
yeah, and so like just being able to like really realize like this is a need not just between Gabby and I, not just between our exec, but like between a lot of students at Duke is something that I think really helped us build DBBH from the ground up with students in mind.
I'm definitely inspired to join like Duke in Silicon Valley next year. I hope I find my partner in some sense. But I know we kind of mentioned this in your introductions, but can you guys just like delve into a little bit more detail about what aspects of healthcare you two are interested in pursuing in the future?
I'm really interested in the intersection of health, capital, and infrastructure, which is essentially what I study, and the ways that investments, urban planning, and systems design impact how communities access care and resources. And I think an easy way to boil a bunch of words down is I'm actually filming this podcast from Europe right now. And just tonight, I was at a free concert in the town center, which is funded by the city's taxes, and people were just dancing and smiling and happy. And it struck out to me in a way in the US in particular. And keep in mind that I'm from New York. But where I grew up, there's this often unspoken belief that you can have one or the other, economic growth or collective well-being, but not both. And I think that the world, different parts of the world, whether that's different parts of China or Asia in general, which I also study, you can see that that's absolutely not the truth. But for whatever reason, in the US, we've been convinced otherwise. And so I'm fascinated by how we can design and, more importantly, finance systems, because that's really where the problem is, that prove that not only it's true that you can be both financially happy, but also rooted in wholeness. But more importantly, make healthy, thriving communities scalable and accessible. Obviously, as we know, there's such a disparity in the US in healthcare access depending on your economic situation. And I personally believe that it's fixable. It's hard, right? But it's also rooted in making all the different parts of the health economy function together. So, yes, while DBBH in portion functions as a way to give students options, I also said this to Ella, I really want the students who cure cancer or work on the systems that feel so intangible in our world to meet each other at DBBH because they'll have the tools, but more importantly, the community that shares that belief to do it together.
Yeah, Gabby, I think you're such a good representation of like thinking beyond the traditional mold of healthcare because when you told me like health real estate, I was like, what's that? Like, I literally have never heard of that. And so hearing you talk about this is honestly just so like impressive that you like can think this way. For me, I'm very interested in, so I'm a BME design fellow, which is medical device prototyping. I love med tech. I'm obviously an engineer, so I like to build things. But I did last summer my internship in pharmaceuticals. So I really love that industry as well. And I also am pursuing computer science minor potentially. And so I'm really interested in all things like data science, computer science, AI, and I really like using that aspect in healthcare as well. So I'm a little bit all over the place, but I think the underlying kind of like theme between everything that I'm interested in healthcare is making health more personalized. So whether that's within using AI like AlphaFold for drug discovery, or making it more like telehealth and for women's health and things like that, I think I can see myself falling into one of those sectors. Do I know what exactly yet? No. But I'm really using Duke and my experience within DBBH to learn about all the different sectors and then hopefully find somewhere that I can just really put my time into and make it a better place in healthcare.
I feel like that's what's also really nice about DBBH too, right? Because all of us are also learning a little bit more about ourselves and what we really want to pursue. And I think a lot of that also can tie into this podcast. And so a lot of us were curious, how do you guys see this podcast helping to shape the mission of DBBH? And what do you hope people will learn from it?
I really see this podcast as a way to take the conversations we're having at Duke and opening them up to a much larger audience. I will be completely transparent in saying that so much about my understanding about the professional space, about how the world works, shifted simply because of the exposure to different opportunities I had at Duke. Whether that's my I&E classes, getting really close to professors, building really cool relationships with people that my brain when I was younger thought I would never have access to, CEOs, people who've shifted the world, meeting people like Ella at Duke and Silicon Valley, just having the audacity to start a club, not once, but twice. And something that I mention to Ella sometimes that's sort of a little silly, but I've never been a member of a club at Duke before. And me, I'm going to be honest, when I was younger, would think that I would need to have the qualifications for something to go after that dream. Does that mean that I need to still be smart and make sure that the people around me can supplement those things and they know those things that I'm missing? Absolutely. But again, my access to Duke and the education at Duke taught me to have audacity. And that's the thing that I really want this podcast to show people as well. Not simply just having the audacity, but knowing those little tweaks about how do you make a difference in this world? How do you get to be a part of the conversation? And more importantly, awareness. And so through this podcast, we're able to bring in voices from industry, academia, and entrepreneurship and show our listeners how many different ways there are to work in health, make an impact in this world. And my hope is that people walk away feeling partially informed, absolutely, but most importantly, inspired. Because I think what we've learned about a part of the health economy that they might not have considered is that you can always shift things. You can always be a part of the conversation. And more importantly, the awareness that there's always a place for you, even if you don't feel like it. And so, yeah, I think that's the goal I see for this podcast.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can add on to that is this podcast is really a supplement to all the other expansions we're making in our club this year. So if it's okay, I just want to mention a few things that we're also adding on to this in addition to this podcast. So last year, our flagship event was the conference, our Duke Business Behind Health Conference 2025, attracted over 150 people, including industry professionals, our keynote speaker from NASA, people from local startups, people from Clearview Healthcare Partners, and alumni from all over. And it was an amazing event, and we heard such positive feedback. It also included a speed networking event with industry professionals with an algorithm driven speed networking that was run by our VP of Alumni, Ryan Frobe. And this year, we are looking to not only have another conference next year, but we've expanded to now we have an incubator program, which is going to be a 10 to 12 week kind of project where people get to work with different people within just different majors, so very interdisciplinary, and solve a real world healthcare problem. And then we're also going to have a corporate relations team that's going to be focused more on recruitment and helping you learn about the healthcare economy, very curriculum oriented and career focused. Additionally, we're going to have another alumni speed networking event in the fall and the spring. We're going to have our conference again next year. We've expanded marketing. We have this podcast. We have a lot going on, but we're very excited for everyone to join and really get as involved as they want to. So I think what Gabby and I's goal is, like, we want everyone interested in DBBH to find a spot in DBBH. Like, we have so much to offer, and there's certainly a spot for everyone to contribute and to get the most out of this. So we're really excited to grow, not just through this podcast, but just beyond through these other initiatives.
Exactly. And if there's one thing that I'd love to leave listeners with, it's that healthcare is everyone's business. Whether you're an engineer, an investor, a designer, or a policymaker, you have the power to shape systems that impact lives. And even more so, these systems shape your life. Regardless of whether or not you've had to encounter that, eventually you will. Your parents will, your friends will, and DBBH exists to help students find their place in that work and to remind them that the future of health really is shaped by us.
Thank you guys so much for your inspiring words, and thank you for sharing everything about DBBH.